Welcome to This Week in Poker. Coming up, Matt Savage joins us in studio. Jess Wellman gives poker headlines. Gary Wise joins in to discuss the yet-to-be-named Jeffrey Pollock Poker League. And we debate who is the best professional bull rider in the world. Stay tuned. Thanks for joining us. After a week off, we are back and, dare we say, better than ever. I'm joined by entities. Colin?
How's it going?
Doing all right. It feels like I haven't seen you forever.
I know, it's been like a year.
I know, at least.
Can you name one bull rider? Is there a famous bull rider?
Luke Perry.
Seriously?
I don't know.
Yeah. You could name like a bowler, right?
The guy. That guy.
Yeah.
I'm aware of one. And in the corner, in a league of his own, Brian. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Chops. Nice to be back.
I know. It is. It feels like, I know we did it, or I did it a couple weeks ago, but it feels like
You did a solo show. I watched that show from the airplane.
You did?
I did.
How'd it go?
Went well. Good job.
From afar, from very afar, from 30,000 feet afar.
32.
Okay. Tournament director extraordinaire, Matt Savage.
Good to be here, guys.
Thanks for
Takes
coming.
a break from the LAPC craziness, but it seems like it was off to a great start.
Yeah, we had 4,200 players for the first event, so first place was $250,000 for $335.
Not
It was
bad.
a good start. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into that because everybody wants to know about Vinny Vin, but we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. We have Gary Wise Skyping in. He wrote a commentary on ESPN.com regarding the Federated Poker League announcement. So we'll ask him about that, share some of his thoughts. We also have V-Rob Perlman will be Skyping in to discuss his big Heartland Poker Tour victory and apparently a little controversy around it. Get his take on what happened. But before we get any further into the show, one person that will not be joining us this week, Duhamel.
Welcome to French Canada. We have everything a heart could desire. Trapezes, trampolines, and lots of cheese. Would you like a mustache?
If we're still doing that like when we're 50, 60 years old,
Of
I'll
course
be happy.
we will be.
Yeah.
There's like a 100% chance that we'll be doing that. Let's get Jess Wellman on Skype. We got a lot of ground to cover. We started late. Jess Wellman, Poker Headlines with Jess. Well, Jess Wellman.
I think Jules married to a bull rider named like Ty Murray.
I should have known that too. Dancing with the
Something
Stars.
like that.
Man, I'm way behind today on my pop culture knowledge, especially Dancing with the Stars.
You're looking extra gingery today.
I think it's the red curtain behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in a good way.
In a good way.
She's still rocking that
thanks.
Brazilian blowout, too.
Yes, still going strong. Fingers crossed it lasts. I spent enough money that I hope it lasts a while.
How is life in Biloxi?
It's delightful and filled with cheese grits. Things are going well. We're down to 36, 35 now. I've got the field literally right in front of me.
Is Gavin Smith still one of the 35?
He is still one of the 35, as is bull rider Lee Markholt.
Lee Markholt's a bull rider?
He used to be.
No way. Or
Matt,
are you thinking
can
of
you
Lee
confirm this?
Watkinson?
I recall him bull riding, no? Lee Markholt. BJ Neiman says yes.
If BJ Neiman says it's yes, then it's a
It's
yes.
practically fact. It may as well be in the encyclopedia.
It is, pretty much. So I hear there's a Waffle House across the street. Is this true?
Yes, there is. I've been several times.
Okay, what do you get? What are you usually getting at the Waffle House?
I do 2 eggs over easy, side of cheese grits, and some country ham.
Gotta love the Waffle House country.
I know, I miss it.
Yeah. That was a good hangover. The hash browns, the grits, the ham. Perfect hangover record. So you've been drinking a lot. You've been drunk a lot.
Oddly enough, I've gone in the morning, which is something I haven't done since I was like 12.
So you're drinking that late?
Wow.
I used to be just exclusively a third shift Waffle House customer, but here, go grab some breakfast, plan for the day. Cheese grits. I really can't get enough of the cheese grits. You have no idea, but.
Okay, so Jess,
Yes.
what's going on?
Well,
Poker
I have
news.
to both congratulate and offer my condolences because everyone on this show won a Bluff Reader's Choice Award, but none of us won them for this show.
What the
Wait,
fuck?
we didn't win?
We didn't win?
No, Poker Beat. Sorry,
What?
y'all.
Wow.
Poker Beat?
Is that a show?
Those hacks?
What's wrong with those stupid Poker Beat people?
I
I
know.
hear they rigged it.
Especially the girl. Just, nah.
Oh, well, you have to have that token girl on. It's not like she knows anything. She's just there to be a female.
Right.
Did whoever that guy is from 2+2, their podcast, say anything today or whenever it was announced about you guys winning? Because wasn't he like trying to claim on Twitter you guys were cheating or something?
There was some math confusion, and he thought that we were offering pre-filled out ballots. There was a cash issue, cash not money, cash interweb, and all straightened out.
You
And I
paid
think that they
cash
sent out
to
a,
win?
Wow.
What?
Breaking on This Week in Poker. Poker Beat. Payola scandal.
More Joe Seabuck scandal.
Yeah.
You're right.
Uh-oh.
Hey. So
No,
no,
I think they congratulated us.
So
I
Jess,
thought-
you guys figured out a way to rig the cash to pre-populate the ballot?
Oy. So Wicked Chops won, too. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was great. Very, very appreciative to all of our readers who voted for that. That was
One of the
awesome.
few two-time winners. We had a lot of newbies winning this year. Amanda Leatherman, first-time nominee, won Poker Hostess, which was a new category. Joe Stapleton kind of upset some seasoned vets in Poker Host.
Right. Yeah, those were two. I guess going into it, I would have said unexpected, but once the voting process started, it seems like almost everybody I talked to voted for both of them. So
Yeah.
maybe not unexpected, but going into it, I would have said they were both underdogs, and I don't know what the percentages were, but did they run away with it? Was it close?
I don't think I've seen the full percentage breakdown. I recall we're going to have that in the February issue, which will hit stands in like a week and a half, and you should see how everyone fared.
Okay.
I think the Phil Ivey was the him winning his 8th bracelet was the
Moment of
top
the year.
moment. Yeah, I was surprised by that.
Yeah.
It was my favorite moment just because, well, we talked about it in our year
right.
wrap-up. I was surprised. I really thought Dirt was going to win.
Yeah.
The Dirt runner-up finish was going to be the one, but people love Phil Ivey, apparently.
And just so you know, Lance did correct in the chat that it's a March issue.
Oh, it's March. Sorry, boss. Don't fire me. Yeah, March then. So we'll find out in like 4 weeks and 5 days.
Okay. What else
Wait
is going
till
on,
bated
Jess?
breath until then. You guys are going to talk Federated Poker League later. I feel like, doesn't it seem kind of Civil War-esque? Like, Federated Poker League's the name of a strange conglomeration of countries to me, not a poker league. But yeah, Annie Duke and Jeffrey Pollack are trying their own venture with the Federated Poker League, members-only invitational events at the Palms. Not quite sure what the criteria is on who's going to be considered a pro and invited, but sounds like basically the gist of what I'm getting is PPL 2.0.
Okay. So I don't think they're going with the Federated name. I don't know what they're going with on the name.
Imagine that. It's not going to stick.
Yeah, but they're going to go with something else. What's been just within the poker media, people that you've been talking to, peers, what's been their take?
The general consensus has been that it has the potential to be interesting. I know a lot of us were fans of the Professional Poker League when it came out, but there seem to be some questions about whether or not they're going to be able to really mobilize this tour on the level of something to give comparison to last year's NAPT, which had a lot of resources behind it to really get it going.
Right.
Not quite sure if those resources are in place on this tour just yet.
Yeah, one of the interesting things, a lot of people are making the comparison to the old WPT tour, side tour, the PPT.
T, sorry.
The PPT, which actually was, for the most part, a success. You were someone involved with that,
it was a successful venture for a while, but the problem was it wasn't funded, so that was the end of the line for it.
So you need money for something like that.
Yeah, you definitely need some money for that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, we've got Gary Wise. He was probably the first person in the media that actually saw write something of a contrarian point of view to it in an ESPN.com article last week. He'll come on to talk some of the merits and some of the potential challenges later. Jess, what else? There's a ton of tournaments going on right now.
I know there are a ton. I'm at Biloxi right now. We're down to 35 still. You have Deauville getting kicked off today. It looks like it's going to break its record field from last year. They got 400-ish today, probably expecting at least that many tomorrow. So over 800 people at the EPT in France. And you have Aussie Millions, which had 721 players. They've wrapped up all the day ones there with 265 survivors. And you got a lot of really good names with chips. It's like Team Full Tilt was...
Right, I know if you actually read Poker News, it is very, very apparent that Team Full Tilt, ! Is doing well in that main event.
They are, but it is true, though. I mean, not just like Full Tilt Red Pros. Day 1A, Team Full Tilt just crushed the thing. You have Eric Lindgren was Day 1A chip leader, Phil Ivey in the top 10, Patrick Antonius in the top 10. And they've got a bunch of other nifty stuff going on. You had Sam Trickett winning their $100,000 super high roller. They're doing a 250K single table, 8-handed event, which just... not to make judgments, but to me sounds like just an excuse to try to get Phil Ivey back over Daniel in the all-time money winnings. But
Right.
I've heard that they might even expand that to 2 tables because there are more than 8 people who just have $250,000 too.
Okay. Yeah. I know, and probably, just the way that it goes, Hendon Mob will include that, Poker Pages won't, and it's all up for debate anyway. What other tournaments are going on that you're following, that you're tracking, Jess?
I'm here in Biloxi, so that's been my main focus. Those are the 3 live ones going on. Huge online this week because Full Tilt started their multi-entry events where players can enter into up to 4 different spots in a tournament and play 4 different screen names at a time. So last night, the Full Tilt 1K Monday, they're doing double guarantees week with multi-entry. So that was a $1.2 million prize pool, and Sean Deeb won like $300K.
Okay.
Not bad for a retired guy.
Not bad for a
most
retired guy.
tournaments, that's really the ones that are running, but what people are really talking about is tournament series this summer. WSOP 2011 schedule came out.
Yeah, what was your initial take on the schedule? Is there anything that stood out as really good or really bad?
I think that the 25K heads up is really interesting. Probably a good thing that they moved the Players' Championship to the end of the series just because a lot of those guys will be coming basically right off of the 25K Championship at WPT, and I don't think that as many people will necessarily want to spend $75,000 in just one fell swoop, and probably good to spread it out a little. I think the 10-game 2500 is a cool addition. What I really was upset to see is the $25,000 6-handed is not on the schedule this year. That was one of my favorite events last year. I think that it had a really good response and got a really good turnout. There is a $10,000 one, but it's right up against the $5,000 6-handed. And to me, there's just not a huge differentiation between a 5K 6 max and a 10K 6 max versus a 5K and a 25K. But Matt, you know tournaments better than I do. Does it make sense to have those two virtually back to back?
I would say, obviously I think the 25K and the 6 max with the online community, it was a huge hit.
Yeah.
But, having enough 6 max tournaments for those guys is what's most important. But thanks for the plug on the LAPC, which is going on right now.
Jess?
I'm sorry. You're on event like 4 of 700, aren't you? I've got plenty of time to get the plugs in. I'll be out there, actually.
Yes.
Matt knows I'm headed out there after this. Got about 3 or 4 days at home, and then I am moving into the commerce for a month. So you'll get to hear all about it for the next 3 weeks.
That is
I'm
correct.
just saving it now, saving the good stuff.
Okay, Jess, one last rundown. Top 5 chips, WPT Biloxi.
You're gonna make me pull up. Hey BJ, pull up the chip counts. Ryan Hughes, I believe.
Just crack the whip on BJ.
If you could see these two together, it's unbelievable. They argue
They can
constantly.
watch the Jess and
Right,
BJ.
it's-
Is
yeah,
there
just like any
sexual-
other married couple.
Yeah, is there
Yeah.
sexual tension yet? Is it?
Don't you dare.
There is a lot, believe me.
Really?
I've seen it. I've
Yeah.
seen it.
Ryan Hughes is leading the way. He's got 500,000 plus.
BJ's like,
Oh, just kidding. Alexander, it changed before my very eyes. Alexander Kuzmin is chip leader. Ryan Hughes up there. Lee Markle, 320. Luke Stodmeyer, who's I Wear Goggles Online, 310. and Bobby Keller, who was our day one chip leader, 295.
All right, and
So
Gavin is like around middle of the pack, short stack. Where is he?
Probably a little below average at this point in time. You got Shannon Shore still in here, Hoyt Corkins, Alan Carter, who won this event 2 years ago, Lee Force. Hadn't seen him in a while.
A Leaf Force sighting.
He's the
A
ultimate
Leaf
frisbee
Force
player.
sighting.
He's the ultimate
and a Bill
frisbee
Edler
player.
sighting on day one. We had a lot of people that
He's
were
like the
kinda-
original Jungle Man, but like really
Yeah.
a Jungle Man.
Yeah.
Like literally.
And he has a Care Bear card protector, so I can't help but root for him a little, because who doesn't love Care Bears? Oh, he can hear me talking about him too. Hi there.
All right,
Yeah.
Jess. Thank you.
Good.
We'll see you.
Thanks.
We'll see you on next week.
All right, see ya.
All right,
Bye.
Matt Savage.
Yes.
Thank you again.
No problem.
Yeah,
Happy to be here.
If we believed in apologies, we'd apologize for last week, but at least we got you this week. So
Yeah, sounds good.
that's good. So LAPC starts off at the bang, over 4,000.
Yeah, about 4,200 players.
4,200 in the first
Entrants,
event.
yes.
Is that yeah. So people could buy back in.
Yeah, there was about 3,000 unique players.
Which is still great.
Right, which is still very good.
Okay. At what point during day one did you notice one Mr. Vinny Venn was taking place in the event?
Well, I noticed it before because he was now allowed back into the casino. So that was.
Wait, was he
that
banned?
yeah, he was barred for a little while.
Yeah.
For
And what's the deal with Eskimo? He's barred?
yeah, Eskimo is no longer with us, but he'll be back, I'm
Yeah.
sure. I mean, it was nothing major that he got.
So how does
an
the
infraction
casino bars him?
Yeah, the casino. You know.
Okay.
So
enforces
is it harassing players for buy-ins and stuff like
No,
that?
I don't think that's what it was. It was something related to that, but not quite the
Yeah.
same thing.
Is Miserable Fuck? Do you know who he is?
Do you know who Miserable Fuck is?
No, I don't.
Really? Okay.
Okay. Well, during a portion of the show, we will show you a photo of him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you'll know exactly who we're talking about. But go ahead. Ask your question.
No, I was just curious if he was banned, but we'll
No.
find out who he is. Or we'll show
let's-
who he is.
Colin, why don't you ask a couple questions while I dig him up for Mr. Savage?
So, so how's the LAPC going?
It's going
Yeah.
great. I'm
Yeah.
like she said, we're only on event 4 of 54, so we're going to be there for a long time. But it's basically 2 events a day, and we do have the World Poker Tour Invitational coming up. We have the World Poker Tour Championship coming up, so we're looking forward to both of those.
Yeah.
A few unique events coming up as well.
Yeah, it seems like with the LAPC and you in general, you like to mix it up a little bit. You do like the Ironman
Right.
tournaments. Are you doing one at the LAPC?
Yeah, there's a $2,100 Ironman event, which there will be no breaks allowed, and we're checking it out.
Yeah,
I know him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen him yet.
Okay.
I have not seen him yet, but he's around. He's in the neighborhood.
Do you think? I mean, like, and not to jump around to like the. Well, I guess might as well. The WSOP schedule.
Okay.
Like there's really, it's kind of the same events. I mean, there's like we were talking.
Yeah,
about.
basically, in my opinion, our series is the second biggest behind the World Series of Poker, but yet we have buy-ins from $125 up to $25,000. So we put the small buy-ins with big guarantees, so players in the local market will have a chance to come in and win big money for a little bit.
Yeah.
And we have a $25,000 high roll at the end after the Invitational and the Championship. So I think we have a little bit of something for everybody, and it's kind of like the I won't say the mini World Series because there's still big buy-ins, but we have a lot of the same type events at the LAPC.
But do you think the WSP should experiment more with what you're doing, like with Ironman or with being able to rebuy or buy back in?
I think that Jack Effel and I have conversations almost daily about the schedule and the structures and rules and things like that. So I think that he has a real interest in expanding on what they're doing right now, things that they're talking about and things they talked about doing. People don't know how close they came to running certain events that might be very popular for the online community. So I think that they are really making an effort to try and do with what the players want. And I think that is very important.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, if you have questions for Matt, plug them away in our live chat, and we'll get to as many as we can during the course of the interview. So LAPC's really just evolved to one of, like Colin was saying, you've got PCA, that's kind of become a major just event, not just the main event itself, but tournament. Now we've got LAPC, just a few weeks later, major event. Do you see that being a trend where maybe we don't have as many tournaments, over the course of the year. But what is put together are making it, you got to be here at least for a couple of weeks. Cause
actually, it's the opposite. I mean,
there's
just so many things out there right now. I mean, we have, at the LAPC, there's probably 15 other events going on right now. So the competition is, really intense. And, where I thought there would be some consolidation this year, it doesn't seem to be the case. And, I think there has to be some consolidation, but at the same point, the same day that we had, 1,000 players, Borgata had 1,000 players, Choctaw, Oklahoma had 850 players, Biloxi had 500 players. So there's a lot of players out there, and they're going to these events. So, I mean, in the end, it's kind of exciting that it's growing and becoming as big as it is.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed we were talking about the Aussie Millions, like the main event's going on now, but they have tons of events afterwards. And I think some events are doing that, or some tournaments are doing that in Europe. Did PCA do it?
Yeah.
What is, does that make sense doing, like having a main event kind of in the middle or early on?
Yeah, I think that,
series,
there's more post-lim events going on at these things. Aussie Millions is just a great destination. PCA being in the Bahamas, a great destination. People want to get out of the cold. It's summertime in Australia. I think that, destination tournaments are also going to be very successful. The weather we're having here in LA these last couple of weeks is just like unheard of.
Yeah.
It's been 75 every day. I've been playing golf before the tournament, so I'm enjoying it, and I think, getting out of the cold is a big part of this time of year.
Right.
For people.
Here's a question from viewer James DeBear. How would Matt Savage balance the structure of the Duke Pollock League, and now it just scrolls out of the way, to balance the made-for-TV aspect but still make it more about skill than luck?
Well, I think, from what I'm hearing, it's going to be somewhat based on skill, obviously, because they want to make it that way. And, I would think that with a 200-player field, what they're talking about, I think maybe 4 to 5 days would be enough time to, make that balance for the format and structure. And, I never know, maybe I will have something to do with that if it comes out. We'll see.
From Poker Journey, Matt, with the success of the NAPT, has Full Tilt talked about a tour with you as tournament director or something like that? Would that be seen as a big conflict of interest with you in the WPT?
Yeah, I think that it would be a conflict slight at this time, but again, obviously Full Tilt has the power to do something like that. I have talked to Ray Batar and a few of the other people there about doing something like that because I think it'd be very successful. I would more like to see them do a major stop like they did in Aruba, with Ultimate Bet, because I think that would be a huge thing, a PCA type one-time event, one time a year, and I think obviously they'd be able to fund and support that thing. So I would love to see that, and obviously I'd hope they would call to me to be their tournament director.
Do you see Tilt going the tour route? I mean, they're pretty much. If you look at just general business strategy, Stars probably a little bit more known for the MTTs, Tilt a little bit more known for the cash games and the TV products. But
Full Tilt's had a great strategy with following. They were heavily involved when I started with the Asian Poker Tour of, do we want to get a major sponsor like somebody, Full Tilt, for them to come in there? And they let PokerStars go ahead. They let them lead the way in Latin America. They let them lead the way in Asia. They let them lead the way in Europe. And basically they're following in behind. And, with the star power that they have on their team, I think they've obviously captured a big, big part of the interest of the poker community and the players. So I think they're doing what they're doing is just fine.
Really good questions coming in from the viewers. Keep them coming. This one is from Dave in Redondo. There's been a lot of talk about all-time money leaders. We've actually made somewhat, I don't know if an issue of it, but commenting on the difference between Hendon Mob and Poker Pages. But do you think that these made-for-TV events should be included? Do you think, for example, the NBC Heads Up Championship or other super high buy-in events should be included in the all-time tournament?
Well,
earnings?
I mean, Hendon Mob has done such a great job. They're just, the site is, unmatched out there for stats. So they really have made an effort for years and years to keep on top of that. But with all of these made-for-TV events, it is kind of skewed in that way. I mean, obviously, you would like to see open events versus, closed events, and I think that that's something that they're looking into. They've already done the adjusted by inflation rates, so we'll see how they end up doing that. But I think there's going to be something done about it.
Okay. We're getting a ton of Full Tilt questions. I don't know what the hell's going on. From James DeBear. Full Tilt often has people host F-Tops event online. If Matt Savage could host one, what would be the tournament he'd want to host?
Probably an Omaha 8 or better, or a mixed game, horse, or something like that.
Okay, so that's
the games I like to play.
that's
so
the games
of course,
that you like to play. Okay. Can you tell the FG? I don't know if that's a question. That's from.
Do you see? I mean, we've talked. I think it was with Ty Stewart about, will the World Series of Poker ever have an online event? I mean, it seems like there still is a need to bridge online poker with live poker. Do you think that can happen in a tournament setting?
I sure would love to see it. I mean, obviously, if you got one tour, one stop somewhere live that all the sites got behind, it would be the biggest, best event in the world. I mean, there's just no doubt. I mean, you could send players from all over.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that's never going to happen because, there's some infighting, obviously, between the major sites. And I'm of the opinion that everybody working together would make the game much better. But
actually, there's a great article we looked at today that Bill Rennie wrote about that, just how it's really stopping the game from growing, the infighting and not, there could be so many good matchups between, top full tilt player and a stars player.
Right, and Daniel's even blogged that he'd like bring it on, basically.
Yeah.
And then the side bets amongst that would be great. So I mean, see anything like that would create a lot of interest, I think is good for the game.
Yeah.
Here's one from a reader. Obviously, you're not necessarily tied with the WSOP anymore, but just as far as your opinion goes, why doesn't the WSOP have a 100,000 buy-in event yet? Since that seems like it's a trend going on.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that they figure that they have, I don't know what it is now for this year, but the amount of buy-ins, I think they figure that's enough.
Right.
It's enough. So, I mean, I don't think it's necessary that they do that. Again, there's those that feel that there's an exclusive thing for these big buy-ins, so not everybody can get into it, so should it be a bracelet event? That's an issue.
But we were talking before. Like, I think poker, what people like to see now is big risk, and I think that's why high stakes poker is doing great. I think that's why the Macau cash games got a lot of interest, and I think that's what people like about the $100,000 buy-in events. I mean, $10,000 buy-in events are a dime a dozen now. I mean, and you look at inflation. I mean, they've been doing it for 40 years or so. It seems like poker needs to step up. The World Series of Poker needs to step up and have, and whether that isolates some players, that's fine.
Right.
I mean, even if it was 2 tables, it'd be fun to watch.
Right, I think there's a lot of that, and there is obviously well bankrolled players and people that are sponsored, backed by others. And I think that it would be tough for people to be backed into a $100,000 event unless they took small pieces and things like that. So you're looking at a field probably of 10, 15 people. Should that be a bracelet event? Probably not. You know what I mean?
All right, another good one from Poker Journey. As a tournament director, what's your take on men entering ladies-only events?
I think it's not the right thing to do, obviously. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen many ladies' events, and they're successful, and they're having a great time, and they're introducing a bunch of new people to the game. I don't think it's the right thing to do. But, like even in the state of California, we can't run a ladies' event because anybody can enter. And it's an issue, but I support ladies' events only because I think it grows the game.
From Mike E. Mayhem, assuming you know him, but when I qualify for the Shooting Star, can I wear a Savage Tournaments patch?
Of course. Readily available.
Do you think tournaments with a 15% rake are plus EV? From Raw Wolf.
Do I think they're plus EV? It depends on the players in the field. I mean, if it's a big, huge field, it probably is plus EV for a lot of players. But depending on the players in the field.
Okay, this is a good one. Another one from James Bear. How does Matt Savage view the online poker industry as a potential symbiosis or competition for casino industry? So, in California, obviously, there's been a lot of commerce coming out against the Reed bill.
Yeah, I know we promised not to ask.
Did we?
Well, I think it's in.
No, but he really can't speak on behalf of the commerce, I guess.
I'm a supporter of online poker, and I'm a supporter of poker. And obviously, I think that the online poker industry has helped out the live poker industry an amazing amount. So, I'd like to see everybody get along, like I said, and whether that happens or not, I understand the commerce is in it for their side of the business.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see legal online poker in California soon?
That's the thought. I mean, everybody's saying that maybe New Jersey will be first and that California will be second. So I'm not really aware of what that is, but obviously when it happens, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We got to give the Six-Man Award to our viewers for pretty much dominating this question and answer with Matt Savage. So we got a couple more before we have to move on. Your opinion on this is from KevMath.
Okay.
No, KevMath.
KevMath. Yes.
Your opinion on any Duke trying to overtake your role as Switzerland.
Well, that was actually my New Year's Day tweet, that my goal for this year was to lose weight, obviously, and to remain Switzerland.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe she picked up on that.
Yeah.
I think she stole it from me. But I think it's tough. It's tough, you know, with my involvement with so many different facets of the game. I think it's been tough for me to stay impartial, and you know, I want to remain that way because
Did we almost screw that up when we isolated that quote the last time we had you on about WSOP Europe bracelets, and that fired up Ty Stewart pretty.
Yeah, I mean, he went a little over the top. Obviously, I think it's different, and you know.
Were you pissed at us for doing that?
A little.
Yeah.
Not, I wasn't pissed because I know it's part of the show, and I think that you know it's important to have controversy, and obviously
it created
drives interest.
a great
for
discussion.
sure.
It created a good dialogue.
Definitely a good dialogue. It's you know, it's exciting stuff. I mean, I talked to Phil Locke yesterday. He still, you know, holds it in very high regard.
Even though you don't.
A lot of the top players, you know, feel it is different also. I mean, even we just did the poker deck for the Bay 101 Shooting Star, which is the World Poker Tour event, and Phil Locke sent in that I've won a World Series of Poker Europe bracelet. He didn't say I've won a bracelet. He himself said I won a WSOP e-bracelet.
Yeah.
So, what does that tell you?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go 3 more questions. So quit submitting. 3 more questions before we get to Gary Wise. If the Taj hired you as, this is from Poker Journey again, if the Taj hired you as a consultant to revive the USPC, the United States Poker Championship, what have they been airing on ESPN Classic like crazy lately? How would you do it?
Only if they provide security, right?
Well, I've talked to Tom Gito, who's their manager there, and we almost came close to an agreement, so it may happen in the near future. But, you know, obviously that's part of the country is huge in poker, and I'd love to be a part of it. So.
Yeah.
John,
real quick, we have to ask about, before we move on, though, about the World Poker Tour. It starts airing
February 13th, Sunday.
Are you excited about it?
I'm very excited about it. I mean,
Will we see you on the broadcast?
Have you seen the clip? Actually, you know, you might. There's a chance that I'll be involved. A lot of things you see on the show are some of the things that I've inspired them to do. So I'm excited about that part of it. But Steve Heller, who's the CEO now, has talked, and he said that nobody knows the players as well as me, in his opinion, and he'd like to see me in the show. So I'm actually going to fly out to Biloxi for the day tomorrow, and I think that's part of what we're going to be doing.
Very cool.
From Brian Hepton, Johnny Grooms and you have similar tournaments. How often do you get together to discuss the structures?
All of the time, and Johnny and I are friends, and I'm looking forward to being out at his property for the first time tomorrow. And he is the first person to actually use my WPT standardized structure, which he's using now, and it's so far rave reviews, so let's see.
And last question before we get to Gary Wise. This is from V-Rob.
Okay.
Recent Heartland Poker Tour champion, V-Rob.
Did he say that? I'm sure he did.
No, that was me.
Okay.
Yeah, the boy needs some credit. That's a big thing. Where do you think that you will be in 10 years, 20 years? Are you still in poker? What are you doing?
I'll still be in poker, and I'll probably be doing, you know, something in Las Vegas, hopefully, and have my normal gig, and yet travel and still do some of the cool events around the world, but working less, I think, in 10 years.
Okay, so we're going to go to Gary Wise on Skype now. After Gary, we will do Poker Metaphors with Matt Savage. We're not letting him go just yet, but let's get Gary Wise on Skype. Gary Wise. There you are.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
We saw last week, I think came out on Thursday or Friday last week, you were really the first major poker journalist that came out with, I'd say, a contrarian view of the Federated League. Can you just, for our viewers that have not read it yet, sum up what your opinions were on the league?
Well, first of all, credit where it's due. F-Train actually wrote a pretty good blog post about it for mine.
Okay.
That said, my basic approach was to say that, you know what, this is a wonderful dream, and I really hope it works out, but there are so many stumbling blocks, and really to expect it to work out would be unrealistic. You know, it doesn't mean we can't hope, but, you know, really what they are trying to do is suddenly come into a very established industry and, with the cooperation of that industry, define elitism or the level of elitism. And, you know, frankly, a lot of poker players aren't that cooperative when it comes to helping other people, you know, get their stuff done. So, you know, I just see a lot of specific little problems. I have a lot of respect for Jeffrey. We as media have always dealt with him, and we know how good he is at dealing with us. And Andy obviously brings a lot to the table, but at the same time, Andy has some rough relationships out there, and there are a lot of people in the online community who don't really have a lot of respect for Andy. And those people probably won't have a lot of respect for a roster of players that includes old pros from like 2004. And if you don't have them following your league with fanaticism, who's your core group of fans going to be? So, I just think that there are a lot of little problems that they haven't really addressed yet. And I'm hopeful they will, but I'm just dubious.
What do you feel like, if you could say the number one major potential challenge or issue would be? What would you say?
It depends on where you believe they are in terms of getting everything planned. If you think they already have a TV deal, then that obviously doesn't come into it. But getting on TV is a very big thing. Once you get past television, it always comes down to money. Matt talked earlier about the fact that the PPL just was underfunded, and that was the cause for their demise. They were backed by the WPT, which was a very big deal back then. So. If they didn't have the money, these guys need to have a lot of money to make this thing really work. Because really, you have to incentivize it for the pros to really want to show up and consistently be there and keep playing. The whole point of a league is to have the same participants every time and nobody skipping out. The PPL, I remember their second season, suddenly Johnny Chan wasn't showing up and Todd Brunson wasn't showing up, and a lot of names, just started, no-showing, and suddenly it just kind of lost some of that oomph that it brought to the table originally. And so they need to offer a lot of money for the players to really maintain their interest, and I don't know if they have that money collected yet.
Besides the players, don't we have to see cooperation from Stars and Tilt? Do you expect that?
I think you definitely have to. I think that both those companies, both those companies have become very fond of controlling their own television destiny. One has to think that the Duke Lederer relationship will probably be helpful in that regard. But you know what? Howard's always been a very shrewd guy. The Full Tilt people have always been shrewd, and they haven't allowed personal relationships to come in the way of those decisions. So even that's not an automatic. And I really don't know that, with Howard being who he is and Annie being who she is, that she can truly be Switzerland in that regard. And that might get the Poker Stars people saying, well, wait a minute, we're not going to deal with this. And it's a very tricky, complicated web that they're trying to traverse.
Fair enough. As a member of the poker media, the so-called poker media, do you think that once, let's say, the initial interest or intrigue around one event, if they get to one event, once that happens, do you think that people are going to still cover it, moving into event 2, 3, and 4?
I think so. I think that star power is a big draw in this industry. We all know that entertainment and sports kind of come together to form the poker industry. And when you get all those names out who they're talking about getting, it causes the media types to pay attention. The question is whether they can maintain the interest. Just by virtue of having former commissioner Jeffrey Pollack and Celebrity Apprentice's rightful winner Annie Duke come together on that show, people are going to pay attention at least, and anytime people want to pay attention, it's our job to help them do that. So we're gonna help them do it.
Yeah, I think out of the box, I think the Jeffrey Pollack's position and Annie Duke being associated with it definitely helped getting some mainstream exposure.
Yeah, unbelievable mainstream exposure.
Well, let's face it, if you and I were to start a league today, we wouldn't get it on ESPN tomorrow.
Yeah, we started a league yesterday and nobody knows about it.
Nobody picked it up. What the fuck?
But
I just don't know why I wasn't invited. I'm kind of hurt.
Yeah. Do you think? One of the problems they're trying to solve is, they say that with the World Series of Poker, you don't always get a final table that has the high-profile players that people want to see. Do you think we'll even see that though with 200, pros? We still see it a lot of times where, again, there's really only 5 or 6, maybe less, bankable pros that mainstream audiences really want to see. If they're only hosting 4, I guess 5 tournaments total, there's a chance we're going to end up with final tables of, maybe that, 199 guy, and that may not be that interesting.
It's a WPT final table.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a tournament of champions. If you're talking about the true mainstream public, who only know 5 players. Well, one of those 5 players is the commissioner. One of those 5 players, Phil Ivey, is probably not going to play that much just because he's Phil Ivey.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard to get those guys at the table. If you're talking about the casual poker viewer, though, who know the old guy in the hat and the tall, whiny guy and that squeaky Canadian guy and the Vietnamese guy with the jerry curl, then you're gonna. I think that 200 is a small enough field that you're short of getting a couple of recognizable player brands, and it will be an opportunity to educate people about the other up and comers who they quote unquote should know. Mm-hmm. But in the end, I don't think it's about getting those guys. I don't think it's a problem to get them on the TV. I think that the problem is getting them to the table in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything we're talking about. It sounds like we already have that with shows like The Big Game and Poker After Dark and High Stakes Poker. So again, I don't.
Speaking how Poker After Dark and High Stakes Poker and all those didn't really get mentioned in the press release. It was just Poker Television, namely the World Series of Poker, has 7,000 person fields. This is something that's that's been addressed over the last 5 years. I don't blame them for taking their shot at the piece of pie, but I actually verified before the show. Matt was a guy who was involved with the last big push towards league play, and that went away with UIGA, and he had Chip Reese on his side, the single most unifying force in poker history. If it didn't work for those two, who everybody in the poker industry would have flocked to, except for maybe Phil Hellmuth, because he thought he was bigger than both of them combined. Then how's it going to work now when UIGA kind of steps in between that reality and accomplishing the task?
Yeah. Do you think the use of the word league is a misnomer here?
I think you got to call it something, and with poker, you generally are going to either associate your brand with spectacle or with sport. And league is a sport brand word. I think that is it a pure league? No, because like I said, some guys are just not going to show up for every tournament. Not everybody lives in Vegas, and not everybody's going to fly to Vegas every time that there's an event. But it's close enough that it gives the viewer an idea of what it is they are watching.
Great. Well, Gary, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on the Poker Beat win.
I appreciate your stuffing the ballot box for us.
Great, and look forward to reading more Gary Wise on ESPN.com in the poker section of the website. Thanks, Gary.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna get V-Rob queued up, but before we get to V-Rob, we've got to get to a couple of things. First and foremost, Duhamel. God, they're on it.
France, Canada. We have everything a hawk could desire. Trapezes, trampolines, and lots of cheese. Would you like a mustache?
And next, poker metaphors. Signifying that you have to act quickly around. No graphic love at all.
There we go.
There we go. Matt, I think you know the format.
Sure.
Rapid fire questions.
Yes.
Fill in the blank. Colin will set the clock at 60 seconds. We are adamant we do not go a
never.
millisecond over 60. So we gotta plow through these. You tell me when you're ready, Colin.
Ready, begin.
Right now, the best tournament poker player in the world is?
Phil Ivey.
If I had to describe Alan Chainsaw Kessler in one word, it'd be?
Knit.
That is correct.
The end it there. The hardest live tournament in the world to win is?
The main event. World
Dwight
Series.
Pilgrim is the blank of poker.
Up and comer.
The
Correct
best,
answer is Phil Ivey, actually.
Yes. The best thing about Asian women is blank.
Being married to them.
Wow. Oh, that's a great answer. The disease I worry most about getting at the commerce is blank. A cold.
A cold. That's a good one.
The last thing I searched for on Google was blank.
Wicked Chops Poker. True story.
The last movie that made me cry was blank.
Glory.
I might have to end it right there.
Yeah.
That actually is like, without a doubt, always one of mine. Ty Stewart would look good dressed as a
I don't know. Poker player. I have no idea.
Sasquatch is actually the right answer.
Sasquatch would have been a good answer. I didn't even think of that. And the winner for the 2010 Best Picture, or 2011, whatever it is, the Oscar nominations came out today. What should win Best Picture? Blank.
The King's Speech.
Good choice.
You would agree with that.
Best film
Yeah.
this in 2010.
Give a lot of answers that I
Yeah.
gotta say they were pretty solid. We would I don't know. Is that better than Ali Najad's performance?
I think so, yeah.
That means he
right.
scored
Yeah,
8,249 points.
Yeah, .55. Yeah.
Wow, congratulations! That's a new winner.
Awesome.
Okay, let's get V-Rob
What up?
on Skype. How you doing, man?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
Wow, his head fits on the screen. I can't
Look
believe
at the
it.
step and repeat banner behind
You
us.
see that?
Yeah.
You see what I do for Matt Savage?
Nice.
Of course, we have the Commerce Casino wireless, so we'll see how it goes.
Do you know Matt? How do you know Matt?
Do I know Matt? With Matt and I worked together for many years. We used to work on some poker shows since like 2005, 2006, and now I work for him at LAPC doing some video things and Bay 101. I basically follow Matt around the country. Wherever he goes, I try to go there too.
Matt, when he won the Heartland Poker Tour event, were you scared that you would lose him?
Yeah, I mean, he's big time now, actually.
Yeah.
I got a text from him. I think like during the final table saying, "You're still going to show up if you win, right?" So I'm not. That's not my style. I stick to my commitments.
Yeah, I was definitely cheering for him. He's, obviously he's worked hard at his game, so he deserves it.
So you win. How much was it? About 150,000.
It was 158, I think, something like that.
Minus
158,
Mike on share, of course.
Give or take.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Rob, I don't know how much you're willing to. I just found out about this like 5 minutes before we went live, but
Your homework. That's good.
yeah, I know that's solid of me. Put that one right on me. There's been a little bit of controversy, I guess. Is that the right word around this? Could you tell us what happened?
That's fair. I mean, it's pretty silly. When I sold some shares on Chip Me Up for this event, and there's not a lot of rules on Chip Me Up on how things work. You sell out shares, but there's not any specific rules about how you handle tip and how you handle taxes. So when I won this money, I obviously have never had this kind of a win before, and I had to consult some people and figure out what the best way to handle it was. And the people I consulted with said it's not a problem to take the tip out of their share. And one investor, Mike, invested in me, and we have a history of some bad business dealings, and he was very unpleasant in the whole situation. And rather than discuss it, he decided to, blast me on the internet, and that's his choice. I don't like to say anything bad about people. I think he's just confused or angry. I'm not sure what the case is really.
So you're kind of his Jamie Gold and he's Crispin Lizer kind of situation here?
Something like that, except that I really didn't have a choice in the matter. I mean, he bought shares with me, and I would have canceled them if there was a way to do that on the site. I mean, when I saw he bought shares, I was floored. I couldn't believe that he did it.
Yeah. What was the deal with Pokerati Dan calling you out on Twitter?
You know what's funny? I have no idea. I mean, I told the tournament staff the night before I'm going to come back the next day. It was like 5 in the morning when we finished. And I said, look, I need some time to think about it because they take a large percentage out for the rake at the Heartland Poker Tour. And I said, I need a night to think about it and come back tomorrow. And I got the guy's phone number and met up with him the next day, left him the tip that I left him, and somehow Pokerati the next day said I stiffed him, and I don't know where he's getting his information from. I called the TD and I called one of the dealers and asked her if they knew anything about that, and they didn't. So
Dan's not watching now, I don't think so, but he probably will watch it. Do you want to flick him off or anything like that?
No, I mean, if he heard it from a source and he wanted to repeat it, I understand that's, you guys and him, they're all reporting on the seedier parts of the poker world. So, it would be unusual if I didn't leave an extra tip, considering I'm in the industry. I would never do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know where he got his information from. He texted me and apologized to me. Obviously, that gave Mike on a little bit more to go off of and think that I tried to stiff them and I'm cheap. I don't know where he got the information from.
So what is your takeaway? If somebody wins a tournament like you do, how much do you tip a dealer or the dealers?
Well, I mean, I kind of look at how much is taken out already. In this tournament, they took out 4%, which is a little bit more than usual. And they gave 2% to the dealers and 2% for the Heartland Poker Tour, which I guess somewhat to charity. And for me, I felt like the tournament staff deserved some sort of a tip because they didn't get anything. The 2% was just for the dealers. So I left a little bit over 1%, I think, on top of that. That's a good picture. Wow.
That's pretty solid. What?
You know what? It looks like one of those like photo booths, where you put yourself on a magazine cover.
And this is all a smokescreen. It was all just set up. There was no tournament. What are you talking about?
So have you hired a poker agent yet?
I don't think that's necessary. Are you guys angling for a job? Is that what this is?
But, so I mean, oh, go ahead.
Is Quad Jacks our new sponsor?
Yeah, I don't know why we're seeing Quad Jacks.
That's just in my software here.
Nicely done.
Well done.
Yeah, no.
It's okay.
But you obviously, you play a lot of poker, you play a lot of tournaments. How does this change? I mean, and you're very involved with the poker media. I mean, are you going to still split time? Do you want to play more tournaments? Are we going to see you play more, WPT events or WSOP events?
It's kind of hard to make those decisions. I mean, it's still pretty short after the win. I'm kind of thinking about it. I'm booked solid for 3 months doing the media and the live streaming that I do. So I hope to play more tournaments this year. I'd like to get out and try to follow Matt to the WPT in Florida. That's coming up in April, and try to maybe win my way into that. But I'm going to be playing a little bit more poker than last year, but nothing too crazy. I hope to actually have some of the $158,000 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So you say that no crazy purchases. We always like to see what people do with the cash when they fall into it with a big win.
Yeah.
Are we going to be responsible with this, or did you already have like a $25,000 prop bet with Savage?
I haven't done anything with this.
He paid for a dinner, which he's never done before, so that was a start. That was a start.
But I would say, I mean, Rob, I think you're pretty good with your bankroll management for the stakes that you play, right?
I guess so. Even a $1,000 tournament is probably outside of my bankroll before this, but I knew I wanted to play this event. Felt like a good spot for me to play this tournament, so I took a shot, and it worked out for me, I guess.
Yeah, and what would you say about the Heartland Poker Tour experience? Was it pretty good?
I had a blast. The tournament's 5 minutes from my house. It's up in Summerlin in Vegas, and I played it last year, and there was all sorts of problems. They fixed a lot of the problems. It was a lot better. The structure got better. It still wasn't fantastic, but I'm an awful player, so a bad structure works great for me. It was fun the whole time. I had a blast. I had a good time on the TV set. I worked on a bunch of shows, so the lights and the camera didn't really bother me that much. So I just had a good time and tried to give him a good TV show.
Yeah. James DeBeer is asking if V-Rob will be a Bay 101 shooting star.
I will be. Oh, will I be a shooting star? No, I'll be there. I'll be there working. I've already signed up with them. I'm going to be doing the live video stream and reporting on the action. So no, I won't be playing that one, but I'll be hanging out. I'll be buying the beers.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on the win. From everybody in the poker community, you kind of live the dream of many poker media types there. So
yeah, I think it's funny you say that, because I actually was a little offended when everybody's like, "Oh, poker media guy wins." I mean, I've only been doing the media stuff for a year or two. Before that, I was playing, so I think of myself more as a poker player turned media guy, but I'll take it. I'll take the kind words.
You'll take the kind words and the money.
And while you're both here, go ahead and plug what's going on at the LAPC. You guys have a live stream going on, right?
Go, Rob.
Yeah, well, we've got a live stream going. We broadcast every final table. Well, not every final table. As many final tables as we can, because some of them run at the same time. They're up at lapokerclassic.com, and we're running featured tables, reporting on everything that's going on in the room. There's tons of action. I mean, I'm looking out right now on the floor, and there's, I think, 3 or 4 tournaments going on right now, with another one starting soon. So we're trying to bring you as much action as we can.
Great. All right.
At LA Poker Classic on Twitter, too.
At LA Poker Classic
on
Twitter. All right. Thanks, Rob, and we'll see you around the circuit.
Thank you. Hopefully, if I have another win, you guys can actually have me in the studio next time.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll earn my way in.
Matt, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any last words on LAPC?
Nothing, just come on out. I mean, obviously there's something for everybody there, so happy to talk about rules or whatever at any time on my Twitter feed, and I get a lot of that, people asking questions.
Your Twitter feed?
At Savage Poker, and thanks a lot, guys. You guys do a great job. So
thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you to our viewers for stepping up this week. A lot of great questions for Matt. Maybe it was just because of Matt, but you guys did great. No thank yous for not voting us in. Just kidding. No, thank you. Check for this up on iTunes tomorrow. Brian, any last words in the corner?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was listening to the Poker Beat. What'd you say?
Anything else to plug? No. Next week. What's going on next week?
We need to talk about next week.
Okay.
We need to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it next week later, but you'll see us next week, same time, hopefully on time. And that's it.